guys, it's RonkePosh. How are you doing? So yesterday I was talking about my experience. I was sharing it because I felt like, well, it was heavy in my spirit, and I don't like to do all the spiritual kind of stuff to share. And I started sharing. Thank you so much for engaging. So let me move on to the next chapter. Let's call it the next chapter. It's going to take me a while to finish sharing all that I have to share. So what next? So my husband was in hospital after the armed robbery. It was really, really bad. And I'm still going to come back to this point because I want to share and take the lessons from the story, especially when it had to do with my daughter, because she was there, but she was asleep. So there's some lessons to share from there. He was all right for a couple of months, but had apparently been hemorrhaging. And then when suddenly he got really, really ill, he just deteriorated, and we had to rush him to the hospital. And at that point in Lagos, the doctors were on strike. Imagine, the doctors were on strike. So we had been to some hospitals, and they said, this man needs to have a surgery that day, that he needed to do the double butthole surgery. Well, butthole surgery, we didn't know if it was double or not at that point. He had to do it. I was like, thinking of the second opinion route. They're like, he has to do it today. He can't even make any flights to anything. So we had to rush to Ibadan Teaching Hospital. I think Luz? No. What's it called? The Teaching Hospital in Ibadan. Somebody should please tell me what it is called again. So we went there. I'm not sure I've been to Ibadan. And if I have, it's a distant memory. So we went there and we had to have the op. My dad went with me, thankfully. So there was a lot of back and forth, go and get this, go and buy this, go and do that. So my dad and I were just, doing everything that we could, and we settled him down for the surgery. At night time, we needed somewhere to sleep because it was really, really late when we got there, because it was an emergency. We had to get him there quickly. So we were trying to find somewhere to sleep. It was just an unknown place. And we looked around. We saw people sleeping on the staircase, on the corridors, sleeping all around. And we couldn't get a spot to sleep. So we just walked around the hospital, and we saw this area. There was this area, there were chairs there. And we just, decided to stay there. And my dad is this strong military kind of, So I had 2 scarves. People that know me know I love having scarves all around me. So I gave my dad I offered him a scarf because of mosquitoes, and he was like, no, he's fine. Later on in the night, the mosquitoes got really bad, and my dad was like, you know what? He called me by my nickname, which I'm not going to tell you. And he asked for the scarf, and I gave it to him. The mosquitoes were so big. They were like cockroaches. Huge. They were huge. The following day, when we saw other people that we had met, that night when we were looking for somewhere to just reside, they were like, where did you stay? And we described where we stayed. And some of them were like, why would you go and stay there? Why on earth would you stay? That's the dangerous place. That's where some of the thieves and criminals used to come into the hospital. And I'm like, thieves and criminals? That's why it was empty, and there were so many park benches there, and people were not sleeping there. I'm like, seriously? God just, it was very uneventful, except for the mosquitoes and the discomfort of sleeping on a bench. We slept there. So, after about 2 or 3 days, my dad had to go. I had to stay with my husband, and it was a very frightening and very scary experience. Very scary experience. Oftentimes, coincidentally or not coincidentally, he was always calling my name, and they would ask me to go and buy this or that, and I would have to. It was quite a trek to where it was still within the hospital grounds. It was quite a trek to wherever it was that I had to purchase some of the medical things that he needed for aftercare, or for whatever reason, whatever it was that they needed him to have at that point. And I can remember this night I was walking, and in the middle of the night I was frightened because it was so late. I'm sure it must have been like maybe before midnight, past midnight, who knows? It was really dark, and I looked around and didn't really see a lot of people. And sometimes you will hear people screaming, maybe someone is ill or someone died or something, it was really, really scary. So I would go and get it. So after a while, a few days, I would buy everything, as in anything and everything. I would just give me this, that, and the other, and I would take syringes, all sorts of things, because I didn't want to have to make that journey. I was very, very frightened walking in the dark on my own in this unknown, scary place. And then when I'm coming back, when I'm taking what I've bought back, I would look around to see if anybody was going in that direction. So I can remember one night, some guys were going in that direction. I was like, let me just join these people, walk behind them. And I thought to myself, you don't even know who these people are. They may be rapists, criminals. You don't know who they are, opportunists. But I just followed, at a reasonably safe distance behind them. So I went behind them and I went back. But I'm saying it to say how scary an experience it was. Nights and nights of sleeping outside. I was sleeping outside because he was always calling my name, and I always wanted to, be available. And then mosquitoes. I think I should drop some pictures of some bites. The bites were as big as my eyes, like huge, massive mosquitoes. And then you would see huge rats. People said it's okete. They're not quite rats. When I would find the name for you, but huge, massive rodents moving around in the middle of the night, where we stayed. Most of us stayed at night. It was really bad. But God sent me a good Samaritan, a QC girl, Queen's College, where I went. She happened to be a doctor, and she was on call, and she had a room, a tiny little room, tiny, like a little store that she stayed. It had a little bed, a sink, and had air conditioning. And she offered it to me, and she said, don't worry, I'll stay at home. You can stay here, Ronke. God bless her. God bless you so, so much. You can stay here. I'll go home. I'll stay at home. And I stayed there. I tell you, that place was like a 7-star hotel. Even at that point, that's how we felt. Like 4 Seasons, name it. They didn't have anything on that small little store. For the first time, I slept very well. I was not afraid because I was always sleeping outside, and people were like, "Keep your phone in your bra. Don't let anybody. If you sleep in the night, someone can pick your phone. Someone can do this. Someone can do that." So I can even remember that my daughter sent mats, because I had to leave my daughter with my sister. She sent sleeping mats from the school. She picked some and said I should use them to sleep. I think I have a picture here as well. And I would put them and I would rest there. So it was just a very, very scary experience. Now, the main point I'm trying to drive out of this, because he was so ill and he was in hospital for a long time, even by the time he was leaving, he left after about 2 to 3 weeks. We left the hospital. At this point, I hadn't had my bath for a very long time. I could hardly use the toilet because they were full. QC girls and people that went to boarding school in Nigeria, you know how toilets used to be full to the brim with poo. I couldn't use the toilet, so I would wait till the middle of the night to find somewhere to use. It was really a horrible, nasty experience. I would use the restroom in the middle of the night. When I was leaving, this lady said to me, she says, "What God are you serving? Because I've been here." And where we were, indeed, was a neuro unit, where a lot of the people, they had head injuries. So maybe they had fallen from a building or were on a bike and fell, or were in a car accident. So some of them, it had affected their speech, or they're walking, talking. They had to go through some kind of rehab. It was a really scary area. In fact, I can remember asking some people, "How long have you been here?" And some of them 1 year, 6 months, all sorts of things. And I'm thinking to myself, can I even be here for that long? I can remember calling my dad and saying, "Daddy, I don't think I can stay here for that long." My dad said, "You have to be there. He needs you. You have to be there." So I stayed there, and it was, I'll give you the details, more of the details if you really want to hear it another time. But the point I'm keen on making this today is that he was ill for a long time, very, very long time, talking about over a year. Recuperating, just recuperating, because he lost a lot of weight. I think it was even borderline anorexic. So he was recuperating. And then I was at home with my daughter. Then what? Remember, I told you that we had just been robbed. We had cash, also, foreign currency at that point, because we had just moved from the UK. We also needed some cash, even if you had some in the account. Everything had been cleared out. The school was emptied out. So we came to our house, packed everything. They had drinks, smoked, did everything they wanted to do, and then took me to the school, packed everything, computers, name it. Bear in mind that the following day we opened the school, but I'll tell you that another time. Just follow. I'll tell you the stories and the lessons. Important lesson that I've been trying to get to, and I keep distracting myself, is the point that as a woman, as an individual, we must always arise and understand that God has given us talents. Some 1, some 3, some 5, however many God has given you. He doesn't expect you to keep it and it should remain the same. Remember the story of the guys that had the talent. The one that didn't do anything with that talent stayed. And I know it's very popular for many people to be slay mamas and slay queens and not want to do stuff. But the reason I like working with women is because at that point I realized that indeed we are a support system and we are to support. And when we are supporting, it's not necessarily by this cooking and cleaning and other room that people talk about in this side of the world. It is actually using the gifts and the talent that God has given you, being able to contribute mentally, emotionally, economically, financially to the economy of your house, of your family. Very, very important. So whatever it is, however small it is very important that you do so. Because at that point, there was a lot of outgoing. We had to buy so many things again. Because even our phones were taken away. We couldn't even call for help. We had to go to the neighbor's house. You know, when the armed robbers left, we were there from like midnight to like 6 a.m. in the morning when it was getting bright. And there were policemen next door, and still nothing. It was the minute they shut the door, and I'll still tell you the details in between the details. After they left, that we started hearing gunshots, bah, 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 like all the policemen came out. But we know who did it. And who did it is part of the reason why I started Helps at Homes, where we share tips for people that want domestic workers. And I will be sharing on here how you should recruit your domestic workers so that you do not become a victim like we were, because it was people that stayed with us that set us up, and this happened to us. So back to the story. School fees had to be paid, things had to be bought, everything, money still had to be. So how really somebody that's not working for a long time just relocated to Nigeria, you can imagine the amount of money we had spent, and then this happened. So as a woman, arise and arise. This December, as I always do, I always have a deep dive planning session, coaching mastermind. We mingle and mix with other people of like minds. Join that mastermind. Get the details, slide into my DM, get the details and join. It's from the 1st to the 23rd of December for 3 weeks, and we're going to be doing amazing things, visioning, planning, so much. I'll give you all the content and all the information that you need. So thank you for staying tuned for so long. If you've been here, you deserve a gift. Say hello, I was here till the very end. So that's really, really amazing that you did. Thanks for listening to my story. It's actually quite nice sharing here on Instagram. I do share a lot. I've been sharing for over 10 years on Facebook almost every day. It's like an addiction. So doing it on Instagram all over again is quite nice. It helps me to connect with people. It helps me to know people here on Instagram. I haven't really been active on Instagram. So thank you so much. And let me know your thoughts, and let me know what you're enjoying on this page and what you'd like to know more of. And would you like me to continue the story? See ya.